Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm Mia Voss. You're watching the Mia Connect Power Chat. Today we are talking with three guys. I almost forgot to hit start because the ladies were just going on and on about all their books and listening to their feedback and their opinions on it was so much fun. That was really fun to listen to you guys in the green room. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
So we are missing one of our panelists today, but we've got three of them, so it's going to be big and fun. I'm going to run through them real quick. We're going to intro, and then we're going to get to the backpack. So, Vera, I'm going to say it. Periskokova.
You got it.
Was that close enough?
Yeah, I was close enough.
Woohoo! I'm going to clap for myself on that one. Welcome, welcome. And you are coming to us from Cleveland, is that right?
That's right.
Welcome to the show. Very excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Next up, Yay, thank you. Miss Laura Fabiani coming to us out of Canada.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing great, actually, being here. This is good.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for pulling this all together for us. I met Laura actually through Penny Sansevieri, who was on my show a couple weeks ago, whom I met through Denise Wakeman. Do you like how that works? Everybody's got a little connection. And Laura pulled all the panelists together for us, and we had some great talks. The best thing I found about putting the show together was remembering how much I love to read books and a little bit of a shame reading lately and how dusty my bookshelf is. So, Miss Jessica, and you're coming to us out of Florida. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I love when we were doing the green room, like we panned around your office to see all the books. Can you pan for us real quick?
Oh. Okay, well, the two that are behind me, these are, it's all in alphabetical order. I have one more of these over there, so this is like the C's and W's. But here above, I haven't read yet. Well, at least some of it anyway. I actually have to lift my computer up a little bit. And that's double stacked, so there's books behind those books. And if this wasn't a massive computer, I could show you all the ones that are stacked like this on the floor behind the computer, as well as on a little push cart that is overflowing with books as well. So, and then I have one of these, it's all nothing review books, and it is overflowing with books.
I can almost imagine this little old man coming in with his little book card, and he's stacking stuff for you, and then coming back in and keeping your library all set. I love it. Is there just a little tiny path for you?
I've got 4 of these bookshelves, a dresser with a bookshelf, a full-size bed, a toddler bed, 3 fans, my desk with my 27-inch iMac, another little dinky 4-book shelf, a big long table for all this stuff to ship. This used to be a closet.
Oh, I love it.
Just odds and ends. Yeah.
Hoarders is coming to get you soon, I bet. I love it.
Yes, Hoarders is coming to get me.
Well, welcome, ladies. I'm so excited. Everybody has their books in the background. So listen, we're going to get to the backpack real quick, because I can tell this has been fun to also see how many of you have been lit up about literature, and I want you guys to start posting your favorite books in the comments just for giggles. I kind of want to see, 1, what you're reading right now, and 2, what your favorite book was. So we'll throw that in there. So Learner in the house, he's gone rat trap crazy, but he hopes to be back here in time. I like that. It's a new kick on bat crap crazy. Hi, Sean Mahon, another fab topic. He's looking forward to it. He's across the pond. Thank you for being with us today, sweetie. Hi, Barbara Sherry Rose. Thanks for the beautiful invite. It looks very interesting. Here's my brother from another mother, brother Chef. He says he does love to read. He's always looking forward to He's always looking for new and interesting books. And hey, let's give a quick shout out. Yesterday was Sheffy's birthday, so he celebrated last Noli today because he's a big party animal, right? So then there's Anna. This is a common malady for us. I dream of time when I actually have time to read a book that's not about marketing. Ladies, you probably hear that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
For sure. And then I have Bob. Hey, Bob Strassel. Thanks. Looks like another interesting show. And Coach G. Coach G is my man. He is always here. And then Cheryl loves all the books behind you and on the floor, Jessica. So, and then we also have those 4 girls showed up too. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And what we're going to do, Backpack, is I'm going to have each of my panelists talk about how they got into this business. I have to tell you, this was kind of new for me, of hearing about that people actually just get to read the book. I mean, it sounds like a dream job. You get to read books and then write about it, except the writing part. You guys know how I hate to write, so I would just read it. I'm an excellent reader. I'd be one half of a great book blogger. How's that? The rest I would suck at that. So listen, Laura, let's talk about you, honey. Let's talk about how you got into this industry, and you have iRead. Let's talk about that. Tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, in 2009, I self-published my own novel, and I started doing research about how to market my book, and I discovered book bloggers. And because I love to read, I thought, well, I'll start my own book blog. And that's what I did. I started Library of Clean Reads. It was great to promote my own book. And I discovered a whole community of book bloggers. Virtually, there are so many people who love to read books and are doing this. And to have publishers send you these of books before they're even published, and you get to read them and review them. That's awesome. I just love doing that. So I started doing that for 5 years. It is. You get to read the books before they're even published. It's great. And then I decided to start my own virtual book tour company. Actually, I have 2 of them. I have iRead book tours, and then I have Italy book tours, because I also love to read books set in Italy. So I have that. So that's basically how I got into book blogging, and it's something I love to do, really. My dream job.
How fun is that you get to create these niches based on what you like? You love reading books about Italy, so then you just create this little niche of that too, and then it comes to you. This is what I'm doing. Okay, everybody send me books that I love to read, that are on a topic that I love to read.
Right, and there are books that, I mean, there's people who love to read books set in. You have a market for it. And I have authors writing to me saying, this is amazing. I love Italy book tours because I could actually promote my book in that way. You know, promote it to those who actually love anything Italian, which is great. So it's like a niche, like you said. And so is Library of Clean Reads. I try to read books that are relatively clean. By that I mean, you know, without excessive profanity or excessive violence or excessive sex scenes. And people appreciate that. They appreciate knowing the content of a book. I mean, I won't read, for example, a book that does have, I mean, I read The Hunger Games, and I loved it, but it does have excessive violence. So I just mentioned that in my comments. I mentioned that, the content, so that if parents want to know if their 11-year-old should read the book, or even watch the movie, for that matter, because now it's out as a movie, well, then they have, you know, some reference to go to. So.
Well, it's like the motion picture guidelines for films.
Right, exactly. And there isn't any for books, unfortunately, because sometimes you can have a scene in a book. I mean, you can have a scene, and maybe you don't want to read that. You know, you don't want to go into that drama. You don't want to read a book for drama. You want to read a book for escapism. And so it's good to know ahead of time that there's that content in a book.
We talked about that when we originally started talking about the concept for the show. I remember reading a couple books, had known that there was something coming up, and somebody had sent me the book, and it was a rape scene, and I definitely was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that one coming, and it was really, really disturbing. I would say probably the only book that I'd ever read that was just as upsetting was the one with Susie Salmon. I just totally forgot what the name of that book is. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'll think of it in a second. It was just, I kind of wish I'd had a. It was a young girl who a little bit of a heads up on that, to say, you know, this could be this for some people, it could be a trigger. We talked about that, you know, when they say like different trigger things. So, and before we talked, I'd never heard of the concept of clean reads, and I think for a lot of our viewers out there that have young kids, that would be great to, one, not have to read it yourself and say, this is, you know, this would be perfect for you to, you know, to get some good experience, but not, you know, not just get your kids scarred, right? Right.
Just to know what the content is, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But I love that you created that. So, and I love this, we were talking about this in the green room as well. Laura and I are in our 40s. I'm going to out you because you look gorgeous. And there was such a different time back then when we were kids of reading books. We had plenty of time. I know I sound like that biddy, but it's true. We had plenty of time to read. But I know for myself, because there wasn't that young yet was at the YA that read
Right.
besides what did we mention? Oh, Judy Blume.
Right. Judy Blume, exactly. I think that was the only YA. Tiger Eyes. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I mean, those are the kind of books we read. Judy Blume, she was it. You know, she was the YA. I mean, I also read Laura Ingalls Wilder. She was more middle grade, I think, though.
Yes.
But still, I mean, those were.
She was.
That was it. I mean, there was a few others, but not like
that was
today.
it.
The YA genre has exploded, and it's not just for teens anymore. I think adults are reading it just as much as teens. But there is a genre. There is a niche, and it's, you know, if teens want to read today, they have great excuse to read books because there are great books out there for teens today.
AKA no excuse not to read books, right? Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I love what you've created. All right, next up, let's talk with Vera and hear what she's doing and what she's up to with reading books. And tell me, and writing about books.
So Laura mentioned in 2009 she wrote her first book. So that's actually when I started my blog as well. So it's going on almost 6 years now. And I basically started it because I've loved to read. I started reading when I was 4 years old, loved to read, and nobody in my family, none of my friends liked to read, and I just didn't have anybody to share my favorite books with, or if I read a particularly bad one and wanted to warn somebody away from that. So I tried to actually write reviews for another established blog, and I wrote a few, and then they said, you know, we just have such a backlog of reviews, we don't really need another reviewer. So that's how luxury reading came about. My husband kind of picked out a name. I initially wanted to call it Reading Luxury, and he thought the other way sounded better. So, and pretty much since 2009, you know, when I first started, it was just me, and I was that was back in the day when publishers, if you wanted a review copy, you couldn't just email them. You most of the time had to fax them. So I'd be next to the fax machine writing letters to get like each individual book. These days, so my blog is a little bit different because I actually I work full time. I'm a healthcare consultant, so I really do blogging in the evenings, and I also have a team of about 30 reviewers that write for me. So it's kind of a collaborative blog, and I do a lot of the editing, the managing day to day. I don't write a ton of reviews myself, and you know, these days I don't do faxes anymore. I pretty much have stuff coming to my door every day. So from the fax.
Fantastic. By the way. Oh, that just cut out. No, and I love luxury reads. That is such a great name for that. Now, is it because it's the luxury of reading, or is it the type of things that you review?
So I think, to me, that's the reason I wanted to call it that. Is because reading is such a luxury to me. Whenever I think, oh, like, what would I love to do? I have, you know, a couple of free hours on a Saturday or Sunday. What would I love to do? Answer most of the time is like, I love to just sit on the couch, have some tea or coffee, and just read. Like, that's the ultimate luxury to me, and so that's how the name came about.
And yeah, that's what comes to my mind when I heard that too, of not about the luxury, but just that exact vision that you just put out there, like just sitting there, your tea and the whole thing. I love it. I love it. Real quick, I'm going to throw in some comments from the audience real quick. Here's one comment. Tolkien, 5th grade. That was what Catherine was saying. She read first thing. That was big too.
Yeah, that
actually
was
when we were kids. And then we also, thank you, Adam Music, The Lovely Bones.
Right.
That was who. That was an amazing book. Did any of you ever read that?
I listened to it on tape. Actually, it was definitely sad. It's a sad book. It's actually like when you mentioned clean read, to know, like, I don't know if it had a big impression on me, and I don't know that I would want to read it again if I knew the content necessarily, but definitely a great book.
I probably
disturbing.
You know what? I think you're right, Vera. Yes, I probably would not have read it had I known that was coming, but it was one of the most uniquely written tones I've ever seen. Just from the perspective, it was just really, really interesting. So I'm glad I got through that first part and then was able to get to it too. So yes, everybody, it's definitely resonating for them. And hey, let's hear about Miss Jessica, Miss Book Hoarder. I love it. Oh, I'm just jealous. I just think it looks so. I just want to sit on the floor over there, but I don't know if there'd be room for me.
The one thing that people think is funny that most of this is, except for my Sherilyn Kenyon books, it's all YA, all of it. I realize.
Is it?
But yeah. But I actually, I've been doing websites for forever, but I got really into the books in 2010 when I was pregnant with my second child, because pregnancy about kills me and I don't do anything. So I just basically I laid around and read, and I'm like, well, I want to start sharing this with other people. So I started my website, and it actually Crossroad Reviews. It was called The Guardian of the Crossroads, because I'm pagan. So Hecate is my patron goddess, so she is the goddess of the crossroads. So I had kind of tried to tie it all together, but they got way too long to type, so I just shortened it. And now it kind of works, because since I read everything, people just automatically assume that's what the name means, that's Crossroad Reviews, that it's everywhere. It's across the road, basically. And it's just me. Everything that you see on my site, I have done. I have not paid anybody else to do it. Nobody else is on my site but me. I know that a lot of the little kid reviews and the middle grade reviews are from my two girls, who are 10 and almost 4, and they've done a lot of those. Right now, my 10-year-old, getting her to read certain things, just like pulling teeth without Novocaine. But every once in a while, she'll find something that she reads, and she'll do a review for it. Like she just read The Giver about a week ago or so, and she fell in love with that one. So, and she's reading The Maze Runner now, so we can go watch the movie. So she's having fun.
Oh, I love that, and I love how you started a business because you just were sitting around growing a baby.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to grow a baby, I'm going to start a business. Which I think
it works.
Is fantastic, yes. And so what is that called with your kids' age? So you said the like 10. That's not YA. What is that called? What is that age group?
She does a lot of everything. I mean, she's read the Twilight series, surprisingly. She's done a lot of middle grade books. One of her favorite books, which I was just blown away that she finished it in a day, and it is I don't know where it is, but it's The School for Good and Evil. I cannot pronounce the author's name to save my life, but that's like almost a 500-page book, and she finished it in a day, and that's like middle grade, lower teen. So
wow,
it's just amazing on how fast. Some things she'll read really fast, and other things she's just not into it at all.
I'm going to throw that out to the audience too. What's the last book that you read? That's what I love and hate about finding a good book, because once you're hooked, forget it, right? I mean, you just get this book, and then you're just stopping it every single second to try and like read this book. I'd love to hear from the audience too. What's one of the last books that you read like that too? And then, ladies, tell me what some of your let's open it up with what some of your favorite books are, either that you first read as a kid or that you've read as an adult. Jump in.
I can start, I guess. So my all-time favorite book that I have read in probably about 20 times in 2 different languages is Gone with the Wind. Love it, and you've read it, awesome. So
I probably read it about 15 times.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I read it in both. I'm bilingual, so I read it in both Russian and English, and I also read all the continuation books that came after it. So like Scarlet and Red Butler's Children, and there's actually a new one that just came out called The Ruth or something. It's about the Mammy, so I haven't read it yet, but I have it on my Kindle. And then my current 2 favorite authors are Khaled. I get background noise. So Khaled Hosseini, who wrote The Kite Runner, Thousand Splendid Suns, and I'm totally blanking on the last book that came out, but it was great.
Echoes in the Mountains.
There you go. That was great. So I had to wait like 10 years for him to come out with a new book. And then Jodi Picoult is a favorite of mine. I read every book that she comes out with.
What were her books entitled? Is it Picoult, Jodi Picoult, right?
Yeah, so she wrote like My Sister's Keeper, that was made into a movie. She bases all her books on real life events, and she wrote one of her latest one was called like The Lone Wolf, I think, and then the last one that came out last year, I think it was called like Stellar or something. I'm totally blanking on the titles.
I loved it.
They're all great.
Great call on The Kite Runner. I absolutely loved that book as well. Very, very well written. In addition, how about The Alchemist, you guys? That is just for some reason flying back into my life. I've had so many people talk about that. Have you read that at all?
No, I
I
haven't.
did.
No.
I have a copy of it
Mm-mm.
that they sent me for review.
I bet you could say that about any book we bring up.
Pretty much, almost. More than likely. If I don't have it, then I've never heard of it, basically.
I hear you on that one. Okay, and what about you, Laura? What are your influential books?
Oh my goodness. I read, because I also review books with my children, I read children, middle grade, YA, adult, fiction, and nonfiction. So, and I read about 100 books a year, so I read a lot of books. Do I have a favorite? This year, I think I'm really stuck on YA. I'm reading a lot of YA. I just finished The Maze Runner, and I found it was really suspenseful, very thrilling. And that says a lot, because when you read a lot of YA or a lot of books in general, sometimes not that you become jaded, but the storylines can be similar, and it's really hard to find the book that really stands out. And this one stands out. I also finished the trilogy by Veronica Rossi. It's Under the Never Sky, which was great. I love that. And I finished the trilogy by Gabriel Zevin, which was the Birthright series, and I listened to it all on audio. So if there are, folks out there who have a hard time finding time to read books, audio is the way to go. It's exploding now, the audiobook industry. It's a great way to get in your books. But I'll also mention, I just finished The Sea House, which is literary fiction, which was fantastic. I mean, it dealt with various issues of emotional trauma in such a nice way. Really well written, poetic. It was beautiful to read. Loved it. And I'm going to be reading soon. I'll just mention it's a memoir. I don't read too many memoirs, but I love memoirs that are inspirational. Who Knows Tomorrow? It's about a woman. It's a memoir of finding family among the lost children of Africa. And I just started reading the first few pages, and it gripped me, right? She went to Africa with her own daughter. Just really interesting things like that I love to read. And then, of course, I'm reading with my kids, and sometimes we really find authors who write original books, and I'll show you one that's really original. This one here, Belches, Burps, and Farts, which was a hit with my son. This is the same author who wrote The Butt Book, who wrote Poopendous, which has to do with poop. We loved it. It was just so funny.
It's funny now.
Yeah. And I met the author at Book Expo America. What a nice fellow. We had a really nice conversation. One of my son's favorite authors. So I get to read all kinds of different books, and I like to try different genres just to change it up a little bit, not always to read the same genre or the same type of book. And I read for two reasons. I read for pleasure, to escape, and I also read for information. I love to learn new things, and a lot of my reading is done based on those two notions.
Here's a question for you guys. Do you read more than one book at once?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if any of you said no, I'd be like, I don't know how you're doing it.
No, I do not.
I try to switch off the genres. So if I'm reading something, I may have young adult, and then a literary, and then maybe a nonfiction. So depending on what I'm in the mood for. But I usually have 3 or 4 going at the same time.
Yeah, I do too.
I've tried that, and I can't keep the characters straight. So I'm a one book at a time person. But my thing is that Breaking Dawn, it's over 700 pages. I can finish that in a few hours. So I can do anywhere from 2 to 3 books a day if they're pretty thin.
Wow,
so what
awesome. I can't do that.
My biggest problem is that I have this huge one of those jetted bathtubs with a little thing, and every book that I own is just waterlogged because at some point I'm going to space out, right? So I have these just these big poofy books, and one thing I'm rereading right now that I had read years ago when I lived in New York is Douglas Adams. So he has the So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. He has that whole sort of sci-fi series, and it's beyond hilarious. And it's funny to read some of these books out in public though, because you just look like an idiot because you're just laughing to yourself. I just remember laughing myself on the bus and the subway and the whole thing. And I love books like that can completely take you away.
Yeah, escape.
Yeah,
You
they
should,
suspend reality.
You should get a Kindle with a waterproof case, and that way you can put it in the bathtub. What I have.
I do, yeah. And if anybody out there wants to be a sponsor and send me a Kindle with a waterproof case, I'll be down with that. Because I just ruin everything. But I always show that as a sign of a really good book. So that's why I don't buy any hardbacks at all. So we have some really good comments coming through too. Let me just tell you what some of the audience members are saying too, because they're getting pretty into it. Sheffy says that his all-time favorite book had to be Ender's Game. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
And the Foundation trilogy by Asimov, and he loved the rest of his books that connected together over his career to the entire Foundation story. Love that. Lainey says that she is right now doing the Outlander series, which they have actually turned. I read
that years ago. Yeah.
Right, that's what I thought. And then they're doing, they actually are doing a series, I believe, on Showtime, based on that as well. We got
it's on it's on Stars.
Is it on Stars? Thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen the commercials for it. Here's another author I forgot how much I love is Barbara Kingsolver. Gail's saying she's reading one of her latest books, and then she's also reading Ann Patchett. Like her a lot too. State of Wonder.
State of Wonder is awesome. I loved it. Loved it. It was great.
That looks really good. Colleen says she just finished The Winter Guest by Pam Janoff, and she misses it already. What a sweet thing to say. I love that she misses it already.
Colleen is actually one of my reviewers.
Say that again.
Colleen is actually one of my reviewers. She's awesome.
Ooh, girl, that's awesome. Hi, Colleen. Good to have you out here. And then here's a good one. I love this. Carmen says she doesn't know if she would call it her favorite book, but it had the biggest impact was Alighieri's Divine Comedy, which I love that. And you know who else I loved was Voltaire. That guy was funny. I'm just saying. I read. So have you guys read any of either Dante or Voltaire?
I have. I think I read it when I was taking French in high school. I honestly don't remember much about it. It was a kind of a miserable experience to do it in French.
I was gonna say, yeah, that would make my brain hurt a little bit.
Yeah. I loved Victor Hugo. I mean, Hugo, I loved his books, and I read that in French in high school too.
Y'all are just showing us up, reading it in Russian, reading it in French. Here's a question for both of you then. I thought of this, Vera, when you were saying that. How is that different? You read the same book in two different languages. How is that different, if at all?
To me, I think, and granted I only have experience with Russian versus English, I always prefer to read it in the original language that it was written in. I think it just, there is a feeling that you can't get across, and sometimes, some translations are better than others, and it's close enough, you get the gist of the story, but I really feel that you really get what the author was trying to say if you read it in the original language. And the Russian can be hard to translate. There are certain nuances, there are certain words that just don't come across well into English.
Great point. That so makes sense that whatever the original language that it was written in, because it can't. You're right. There's nuances you just can't get at all. Here's a fun comment. I like this. Cheryl says that when her grandma used to read her romance books and black out the bad parts and then give it to her. There you go. That totally makes sense. Just black the whole thing out too. And here's, we touched on this briefly, but Nazim in Italy, Life of Nazim, he says he's curious to know tablets or paper. And you touched on that briefly. And then also, let's get into that, the comparison also with audiobooks.
I do all three. I read books. I love print. I think if you love books, nothing beats a print book. But I also read on my Kindle. I read on my Kobo, and I listen to audiobooks. So I try all different, and you know what? It's a different way to experience the books. I can't read a nonfiction book on a Kindle because I love to go back and just, with the different chapters, and I just can't do that. I find it too difficult. That's what I love the print book for. But listening to a book on audio really gives you a different experience. Initially, when I started listening to books on audio, didn't like it at all. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered one book called The Dressmaker, I think it was, and I was listening to it, and the narrator was awesome. She could just do the different accents. She could do the male accent, the female accent, and she had a British accent, and I love British accent, and she brought the story alive. It was so fun to listen to. I mean, I could imagine, the scenes in my mind. And so that was a different experience for me, listening to an audiobook. And I think that's why a lot of bloggers are hooked on audiobooks, because of the experience of listening to it. And it feels like you're watching a movie, but you're making up the scenes in your mind,
And you know what I love? It makes me want to go on a road trip, because nothing is more fun than you're going on a road trip, and I mean, and obviously now you can just bring your music with you, but kind of that old school thing of like, nope, there's no radio. You're probably driving across country, and I'm going to have an audiobook. I mean, what a cool way to take a road trip.
You mentioned radio, and way back before audiobooks and all that, people, or even before television, people would listen to stories on the radio. That was so popular back in I think it was the 20s or the 30s or whatever it was.
Yes.
The radio was, and so that, I think that love of listening to a story, being told a story, it's like children when you tell them a story, just being told a story, it's a nice feeling. And I think that audiobooks allow you to have that feeling again when somebody is narrating a story to you and you have the possibility of listening to it. It's a cool feeling, really.
Yeah. Do you think it's like an adult version of saying, read me a story?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pretty much.
I read to my kids all the time, and sometimes it's nice to be read to instead,
I think so. Now, speaking of which, we talked about this in the green room too. Can you guys tell us how you manage your time? Because as the comment I read earlier, obviously from Anna Hoffman, that it is tough to carve out this time for it. So help us to figure out how to get more time to read. Help me.
I think I'm like not the norm, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm home all the time. So if I'm not, deciding to do laundry or dealing with a 4-year-old or something, I'm sitting in here reading or doing site stuff. This morning, that's what I was in here doing. I was reading. She was watching Doc McStuffins on the iPad, and I was working, and that's basically all I do. We go to Universal. I have a Kindle Paperwhite that's in a little case, and it goes with me, and I can read 24/7, and not have to worry about it. And that's basically all I do is read.
I think that's a good idea. Just get in the habit of taking it with you. I thought about that when I was stuck at the DMV. I mean, I have my phone with me, but I think that we've gotten out of that habit now of when we have the spare time, we're just looking at our phone and trying to catch up on emails or trying to catch up on this different stuff, or maybe just, read the different things that scroll through. But that would be a good habit to get into.
Yeah.
Even just bring like a kind of a ratty little paperback with you.
Yeah, and today you could also read your book on your phone. If you just download the Kindle app, and there you go. You have your Kindle books on your phone. So wherever you are, you're waiting in line at the grocery store, you're waiting at a doctor's office, you don't have your Kindle with you, you don't have a book, you have your phone, you can read a book. It's so easy today to read a book, really.
Do you just feel like when you really get into the good book, though, it's literally like this little movie turns on in your head? Like you just get lost and everything around you is just kind of, it's kind of off. I like what you were saying in the green room too, Jessica. You said how you get books read is you make everybody drive.
Yeah. If I don't have to drive, I don't. My husband drives, my mom will drive, and I will sit in the back seat with my headphones on, and I will sit there and read, and then we'll get there. Or like I can't read in the store though, because if I'm walking down the aisles and everybody else is shopping and I'm just there, I will run into something.
Please get
That's
that on video if you do.
But
I bet if your kids have phones, they're just going to start filming you. Like, watch mom. Here she is.
They do.
She's going to run into the wall. And hey, let me jump in real quick. If you're just tuning in, you're watching and listening to the Mia Connect Power Chat. I'm Mia Voss. Today we're talking about book bloggers. I have Vera Periskokova. I think I got it right again.
Right.
Yay, Laura Fabiani and Jessica Porter, and they are all talking about how fabulous they are, that they get to read books all the time. Lucky girls. Let me throw in a couple more comments. Here's a good one. Roald Dahl. David Dano is mentioning. Oh, that's old school. That is good stuff. Here's a great one. Thank you. Charles says he's reading Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. What a great title. That is fabulous. This best line ever. Look at Catherine. The very best books are the ones that you wish would never end. I'm going to have to go with her on that one, right? That is poetic.
And that you're sad at the end. After they finish, you're actually sad that, you can't spend time with those characters anymore.
What did she say? She says she misses her characters. And then Scott is saying his all-time favorite is Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard. I have not heard of that one. Does that sound familiar?
No.
No.
Oh, listen to this. I use a LibriVox to listen to free public domain audiobooks. There are some great classics available.
Yeah, I've heard
You
of
know,
LibriVox.
have you? I think it's kind of cool. I have some friends. I've noticed that I'll go over to their house and they have books they've rented from the library. Talk to me about libraries, ladies. Do you actually go to the library at all?
So I actually, when we were talking about tablets versus paper, I actually get a ton of ebooks. So I have both a Nook and a Kindle, and I get a ton of ebooks from the library on my Kindle. That I think there's an app. I also have an iPad. I read in like 10 different versions, but there's an app called Overdrive, and you can just kind of go to your library site, pick out the book you want, and you have it for 2 weeks. And so I use that a ton. I don't actually physically go to the library a lot, but I do get the ebooks from there.
I used to use the library a lot when publishers and stuff would send me like a book 2 or 3, and I needed the other books in the series. But now lately, it's really nice to know that my site is out there enough that, if they send me a book 2 or 3, I can just email them back, hey, you sent me this, can you send me these too? And here, yes, sure, we'll just send them to you, don't worry about it. And I just get them. So now I don't have to do that anymore. But I don't really go to our library very much. Their teen section and stuff that I'm getting most of is just not very good, and I've attempted to donate books to them, and all they do is end up at their store, and it's like that's not the point of the donation, if you're gonna sell them,
Right.
So it just kind of defeated the purpose completely. So now I just do a lot more giveaways instead.
Yeah.
Do you know
I love the library, honestly.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I go with my children, and they're in the children's section. My daughter's in the teen section, and I'm in all the sections. We love libraries. We love bookstores. And yes, I will borrow books from the library. As a matter of fact, I go online, and I sometimes will have the book come in because in Montreal we have different libraries, and if your own library doesn't have a book, it'll come in from another library. So if I don't want to buy a book, if I would want to read it first before buying it, I will use the library, or just to go see what books they're ordering. A lot of times it's great to recognize that I've read some of the books because I've gotten the advanced review copy for it, but even just to see what else is out there, other genres that maybe I didn't get into yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just love seeing what's out there at the library. It's a great place to be.
I think there's something fun and old school, just going to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Just going to sit and read. And you guys are going to love this. We talked about this in the green room. Bob says, love reading. I feel like Burgess Meredith in that Twilight Zone episode, so much to read, so little time, and I always break my glasses. Did I not bring that up? I was talking about. That is so funny. I'm not the only one. And then G. Warner says, archive.org has CBS Radio Mysteries entire collection. I just learned Cracker Barrel has audio. I've heard about this. Audio libraries that you can borrow it from one and return it to a store. To one of those 3 states away. How cute is that? All right, so talk to me real quick about how this is helpful for someone who is writing a book to get to know a book blogger.
I would say extremely helpful, because book bloggers are everyday folk who love to tell their friends about the books they read. Mm-hmm. So if you have your book on their blog, they're going to tell their friends about it. So the best way is really either to contact a book blogger. Most book bloggers have a review policy on their blog. Click on the review policy. They'll tell you what kind of books they review, what they like to read, what they're going to include in their review post. So, if your book is a particular genre, if you're writing, for example, a mystery book, you'd want to target perhaps, bloggers who love reading mystery. And then you'll get an audience of those who love to read mystery, and so on and so forth.
Ladies, other Jessica or Vera, what do you think?
Knowing a book blogger, it's just really we can help you, get your book out there to other people, basically, is really just the gist of it. It's just sometimes you get the crazy authors that you have to make sure that that just because we know that you love your book, not everybody else is going to love it, and
right.
Just because we may not like it doesn't mean somebody else may not like it. So that's just one of the things that authors need to take in stride. you know, when they're dishing their books out to different bloggers. But that's a good reason to get it out to more than just, you know, one book blogger. Get it out to like 5 or 6 of them, or even more than that, so you have that diversity.
Sure.
Excellent. And what about you, Vera?
Yeah, I think it's so, you know, the big traditional magazines, like if you look at Entertainment Weekly or New York Times, they review so few books, and it's so hard to get the books in their hands. So I think book bloggers really kind of bridge that gap and allow for a lot more authors to kind of form a connection with the readers. And you know, I've been doing this for like almost 6 years now, and I think I've formed relationships with certain authors, and whenever they have a new book coming out, they'll email me every time, and it's almost, I probably only review 10% of the pitches that I get. So if I already have an established relationship with the author and I've reviewed their books in the past, I'm that much more likely to take a look at it again, which is especially important, I think, for self-published authors, because that's even, you know, it's tougher to get a book reviewed if you're self-published, I feel like. So those relationships are good to have.
Thanks for touching on that too. I mean, we've had shows about book publishing, so I wanted to focus more on the book blogging part of that, but that's good to know as well. And then we do have a question. This kind of loops into my last question on for the show, and then we're going to jump into our transition that I warned you about. Nazim wants to know, he's curious regarding the site and app called Goodreads, bought by Amazon. So talk to me about the difference between getting information from a book blogger and then just going to Amazon or Goodreads.
The only thing I use Goodreads for is finding the author links and the book covers and stuff, because I've tried to use like the associate stuff from Amazon, but then in most of my sites it won't come up. It's just a blank screen for the front of it, which sucks. So I try and get all my covers and the book synopsis and everything from Goodreads. But other than that, I really don't use it all that much.
I do have
more.
I do have an account on Goodreads, and you know, it's when you're a blogger, you're kind of all over the place. I'm on Goodreads and Shelfari and Library Thing and everything. But I think the difference between book blogs and something like Amazon and Goodreads is that anybody can post a review on Amazon. Anybody can post a review on Goodreads. They're not necessarily correctly written or tell you much about the book. Whereas, you know, I make real effort to make sure that our reviews are of good quality. They're well written. They really tell the reader what the book is about and, you know, what to expect. So I think that's really the difference. You get a much more comprehensive picture of what the book is about.
And Laura?
And you'll get an honest review from a book blogger. A book blogger is somebody who got the book and they're reading it and they're going to tell you exactly what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, why they're inspired to tell their friends about it, what's so great about this book, why you should read it, why perhaps you shouldn't read it. I mean, bloggers will and there's personality to their reviews. You know, every blogger has a specific way of writing a review. You won't get that in Publishers Weekly and Kirkus. You know, book bloggers will put in their extra comments in there. Oh my goodness, this book reminded me of when I was a kid. My grandmother used to read to me. Or I mean, they'll add in their own comments, and it's fun to read a review from a book blogger. It's interesting, and that's why there's readers who are followers who follow book bloggers. They want to know, you know, why they're reading certain books and what's so fun about those books that they're reading. And reading the review is part of that fun. It's part of the fun of reading the book, you know.
Oh, I bet. But that makes so much sense, you guys, because there's some due diligence, like you were saying, Vera, and then there's it's third party, or it's at least a bit of a neutrality to it of, hey, I'm not winning anything if I say yes or no to this book, but I'm truly enjoying it and I get to tell you about it, or why you wouldn't, or why it might be something that wouldn't work for you.
Yeah, so, book bloggers aren't paid to write reviews. They write it because it's a hobby. They love doing it, and you'll get honest reviews. And I mean, I once was given a book to review, and I really didn't like it, and I told the publisher about it, and the publisher said, you know what? Write the review anyway, because people need to know that the reviews are not trumped up like some reviews are on Amazon. They need to know the good and the bad about books because they sell more books that way. When people go on Amazon and they read reviews, if they see there's a mixed reaction to the book, they're curious about the book. Whereas if it's all 5 stars saying, I love this book, it was great, and you really don't know why it was great, and really what was so great about it.
Right.
So, you know, so that's the good thing about book blogging.
I love it. I guess you'd be like, right, you're like, I'm glad that was great, but why was it great? Great.
Right. Sometimes
All right,
it's 2 lines, you know. It doesn't tell you much about the book.
Right, right. I just told you their opinion. Here's another quick comment. Hi, Cheryl, and she says, this is what I was mentioning before. Her all-time favorite book is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's what I was reading. That's the first in the series by Douglas Adams. Also, 1984, it would come in second, which I love that. And Stan Bush is also out in the audience. He was mentioning The Artist's Way, which I think is interesting as well.
I read that.
That actually came up in one of our last shows. So listen, ladies, we're going to transition. I was going to do, we do this thing called What's On. I was going to say What's on your Kindle, but you've already told me about that. We're just going to go with What's on your feet. So everybody, I just got a petty last night. I'm pretty excited about it. You can't really see it. But what's on your feet? Mine is nothing and a nice little petty. Let's see your feet. I just knocked my little thing over. Come on, show me.
Yeah, I have nothing on my feet. I actually, I have a nice shirt on, but I'll stand up here. I have my Garfield jammies on.
Well, that's under the
I wasn't going anywhere today.
That's under the section of what's on the bottom. We do that too. So Jessica went with what's on the bottom. Laura, do you want to show me your feet? Do you have some cute sandals on?
Oh, not at all. I just have my socks.
Oh, Vera, do you want?
I'm always downstairs in the dungeon.
My leg part off. Hold on.
I love it. Oh, here goes Vera. Let me see. Yay! Oh, she's got little nicely done toes too. Listen.
Fair in the red square.
I love it. I told you guys it was going to be random, so there it is. That was a section of what's on. All right, so we're going to go through each of you. I would love to hear what your bat crap crazy is, which, as you all know, is the person, place, or thing, or anything that you want to shout out. Give a little pay it forward. Action is. So I am going to start with Miss Laura because she brought all of us together today. So Laura, what are you bat crap crazy about, and what do you want us to do after the show?
I'm bat crap crazy about my family. A shout out to Phil, Callista, my daughter, and Alessio, my son. I mean, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. I love my family. They're awesome.
That's a good tribe you got there. Love it.
Yeah, and they support me. I mean, when I was writing my book, when I'm on my computer constantly writing reviews, when I'm asking them to give me their opinion about the reviews, I mean, they're good. They're good.
They put up with mom's crazy.
They put up with my crazy. They do.
Excellent. What's your call to action?
Okay, is that the part where I can talk a little bit about iRead?
Plug yourself. Actually, I want you to,
Okay.
where do you want us to go? iRead or
Okay.
yes? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read book tours, so if you're an author out there who's written a book, I would love to help you promote it.
There's someone calling you right now. That's
I know, but I can't mute, right, because I'm talking at the moment. Just please ignore my phone. And you could call me. You could actually email me, ireadbooktours@gmail.com. Or if you've written a book about Italy with an Italian theme, please, italybooktours@gmail.com.
And she's going to post that all in the links too. So great, thank you so much, Laura. Okay, Vera, how about you? And Laura, will you mute yourself, honey?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I said backup crazy. Besides the obvious books, I'm a huge animal activist. I volunteer for shelter, so that's what I love. If you're looking for a dog, go to the shelter. Don't buy one.
Yep. Adopt, don't shop, right, girlfriend?
I have a dog and 2 cats. They are all from rescues, and it's so rewarding. Love it.
And I will say that is Bob Voss approved. That's my cat who passed away about a week ago. He was adopted. He's up there, and that is hashtag Bob Voss approves. Adopt, don't shop. It's good for you. And where can we find you? What should we do?
So luxuryreading.com, and if you, just like Laura said, if you're an author, drop me a line. If you're looking to have your book reviewed, my email address is Vera, VERA, @luxuryreading.com, and or alternatively, if you're looking to review books, I actually have a spot or 2 open on my team, so we'd love to hear from people. That's my plug.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on. Okay, and they're probably calling you over at Laura's right now, too. All right, Jessica, what is your bat crap crazy and your call to action?
Well, I always shout out to one specific author because I've loved her forever, and it's Crystal Wade. This is the older copies of the series. It was a series I fell in love with. It's The Darkness Falls. This is book 1, Wildfire. I love her. Check out her books. You can find her on Twitter @CrystalWade. And I love her. She's nothing but Team YA. She actually has a book coming out later this year called Charming. I think it's her 5th novel, and it's just amazing as well. It was great. And as for my call to action or whatever, that's what the other thing was, right?
Yes.
I'm I'm gonna put myself, of course. I run a live author web show here on Google Plus called Read On, and it's almost every Saturday at 4 p.m. EST, and it's awesome. You can win signed copies of the books. You can ask your own questions to the authors, and it's just it's great interaction for people who don't travel or for authors that don't travel. So it's definitely something to look into.
Excellent. Thank you. And listen, all of the panel members are going to be putting all their information and all the, if I know it's going to take forever, but all the books that they mentioned, if you ladies can remember it, just go in and start popping it into the comments. And then don't forget that in the actual event description, every single link for everything that these ladies do is in there too. So if you're wanting to get in touch with them, start following them, get on their newsletter, whatever, go get it. So real quick then, here's my Bat Crab Crazy. This is my only first edition signed book by a woman named Aloha Baker, also known as Aloha Wonderwell. And man, there's nothing like these books. This was this woman at 16 went on adventures in 1933. She's a badass. I can't even take it. And I'm going to post the link. I just have had the biggest crush on her for years. She did pass away in '96, about a year after I discovered her. I was so bummed because I would get her on the show. But go look up. Seriously, I would be working her like a rib. Amazing woman, just doing cool stuff like as a 16-year-old and traveling around the world. So I will post the link for that. And you ladies, I have to thank you for reminding me of stuff like this, that this book was sitting over, and I will not read this in the tub. that one's going to go in a little plastic bag. So, and then my call to action, of course, is please go circle all of my panelists. I put their Twitter handles on there as well. Please circle me if you haven't yet, and follow me on Twitter at The Mia Connect, and then go subscribe at themiaconnect.com because I said so. And that's it. Next week we are going to be at the Live Hurl, HIRL, here in Denver. Larry Fernillier is in town, so I'm going to be hanging out with Larry and Wayne Nix and cooking next Friday. Get ready for that. We might be drinking, so it might be a little bit of a food and booze on a Friday morning. So join us next week. And ladies, thanks again for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, Bat Pack. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. All the time.
For sure. And then I have Bob. Hey, Bob Strassel. Thanks. Looks like another interesting show. And Coach G. Coach G is my man. He is always here. And then Cheryl loves all the books behind you and on the floor, Jessica. So, and then we also have those 4 girls showed up too. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And what we're going to do, Bat Pack, is I'm going to have each of my panelists talk about how they got into this business. I have to tell you, this was kind of new for me, of hearing about that people actually just get to read the book. I mean, it sounds like a dream job. You get to read books and then write about it, except the writing part. You guys know how I hate to write, so I would just read it. I'm an excellent reader. I'd be one half of a great book blogger. How's that? The rest I would suck at that. So listen, Laura, let's talk about you, honey. Let's talk about how you got into this industry, and you have iRead. Let's talk about that. Tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, in 2009, I self-published my own novel, and I started doing research about how to market my book, and I discovered book bloggers. And because I love to read, I thought, well,
thank you for pulling this all together for us. I met Laura actually through Penny Sansevieri, who was on my show a couple weeks ago, whom I met through Denise Wakeman. Do you like how that works? Everybody's got a little connection. And Laura pulled all the panelists together for us, and we had some great talks. The best thing I found about putting the show together was remembering how much I love to read books, and a little bit of a shame reading lately and how dusty my bookshelf is. So, Miss Jessica, and you're coming to us out of Florida. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I love when we were doing the green room, like we panned around your office to see all the books. Can you pan for us real quick?
Oh. Okay, well, the 2 that are behind me, these are, it's all in alphabetical order. I have one more of these over there, so this is like the C's and W's. But here above, I haven't read yet. Well, at least some of it anyway. I actually have to lift my computer up a little bit. And that's double stacked. So there's books behind those books. And if this wasn't a map.
Well, welcome, ladies. I'm so excited. Everybody has their books in the background. So listen, we're going to get to the backpack real quick because I can tell this has been fun to also see how many of you have been lit up about literature. And I want you guys to start posting your favorite books in the comments just for giggles. I kind of want to see, one, what you're reading right now, and two, what your favorite book was. So we'll throw that in there. So learner in the house, he's gone rat trap crazy, but he hopes to be back here in time. I like that. It's a new kick on bat crap crazy. Hi, Sean Mahon, another fab topic. He's looking forward to it. He's across the pond. Thank you for being with us today, sweetie. Hi, Barbara Sherry Rose. Thanks for the beautiful invite. It looks very interesting. Here's my brother from another mother, brother Chef. He says he does love to read. He's always looking forward to new interest. He's always looking for new and interesting books. And hey, let's give a quick shout out. Yesterday was Sheffy's birthday, so he celebrated last Noli today because he's a big party animal, right? So then there's Anna. This is a common malady for us. I dream of time when I actually have time to read a book that's not about marketing. Ladies, you probably hear that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, massive computer. I could show you all the ones that are stacked like this on the floor behind the computer, as well as on a little push cart that is overflowing with books as well. So, and then I have one of these. It's all nothing review books, and it is overflowing with books.
I can almost imagine this little old man coming in with his little book cart, and he's stacking stuff for you, and then coming back in and keeping your library all set.
Here.
I love it. Is there just a little tiny path for you?
I've got 4 of these bookshelves, a dresser with a bookshelf, a full-size bed, a toddler bed, 3 fans, my desk with my 27-inch iMac, another little dinky 4-book shelf, a big long table for all this stuff to ship. This used to be a closet.
Oh, I love it.
Just odds and ends. Yeah.
Hoarders is coming to get you soon, I bet. I love it.
Yes, Hoarders is coming to get me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm Mia Voss. You're watching the Mia Connect Power Chat. Today we are talking with 3 guys. I almost forgot to hit start because the ladies were just going on and on about other books and listening to their feedback and their opinions on it was so much fun. That was really fun to listen to you guys in the green room. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
So we are missing one of our panelists today, but we've got 3 of them, so it's going to be big and fun. I'm going to run through them real quick. We're going to intro, and then we're going to get to the backpack. So, Vera, I'm going to say it. Periskokova.
You got it.
Was that close enough?
Yeah, I was close enough.
Woohoo! I'm going to clap for myself on that one. Welcome, welcome. And you are coming to us from Cleveland, is that right?
That's right.
Welcome to the show. Very excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Next up, thank you, Miss Laura Fabiani, coming to us out of Canada.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing great, actually, being here. This is good.
Oh, I'm so excited.